Sports Show. Just a quick programming note. You know, in the next couple of weeks and months, we're really going to put a focus on the Inland Sports YouTube channel. We got several thousand subscribers. We have over 1 million views. We're uploading new videos each and every week. So we're really going to point you guys, everyone who follows the Inland Sports Show, to the Inland Sports YouTube channel. We will still post on Instagram and Twitter. We're going to post a lot of pictures, maybe some shorter videos, but we really want to put an emphasis on the YouTube channel. So here's what we need from you guys. If you haven't done so already, make sure you are subscribed to the Inland Sports YouTube channel and give us a big thumbs up when you watch our videos. We'd really appreciate it. If you've subscribed, maybe tell your teammates, other kids at school, other coaches on your coaching staff, your parents, your grandparents. We'd really appreciate the more subscribers, the better. So subscribe and give us a like. And if you want to take it even further, there's now a thanks button at the bottom as well if you'd like to take your support to the next level and make a small donation so we can continue to bring you great sports coverage here in the Inland Empire.
So if you're a team coach and you're looking to get your athletes to run better, here's a few drills that you can do to help reinforce good running mechanics. I'm Coach Bass. We're here at Santiago High School in Corona, and I got my man Kyle with me. Today we're going to go over another great technical drill to enhance acceleration mechanics. We're going to do what's called a wall strike. So Kyle, you're going to get against the fence here. All right, Kyle's going to get a 45-degree lean. He's going to push those hips in, back straight, chest up. He's got his right leg up. When I say switch, he's going to attack the fence with his knee. He's going to punch it up quickly, then put it back down underneath this hip. Ready? Switch, 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 and relax. So we just want to get a couple reps here. We don't want to tax them too much. Just want to reinforce that piston-like action with our legs. That's one variation of the wall drill. Okay, so what you guys just saw there was Kyle just demonstrated the wall drill, an acceleration wall strike. The first variation was individual. He was punching his knees, getting that piston-like action. Now we're going to progress this drill, and we're going to do what's called a three-step. So go ahead and get that 45-degree lean against the fence there, Kyle. All right, punch one leg up. I'm going to give him two switches. When I say go, he's going to hit three-step. Ready? Switch, switch, go, go, go. And relax. Very good, Kyle. So again, what we're looking for there is just to progress that individual wall strike. Now we start to get those hip flexors firing with the three-step. Okay, so we're back here with Kyle. We've done the wall drill, the acceleration wall strike. All right, we've done an individual, we've done a three-step. Now, Kyle's looking pretty good. He's got the mechanics, he's ready to progress. So now we're gonna go continuous. So we're gonna get that 45-degree lean against the fence. He's gonna have one leg up, one leg down, okay? I'm gonna give him two switches, and then when I say go, he's gonna get after it. Here we go, ready, switch, switch, go. Get it, get it, get it, come on, come on, punch, 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 stop. And relax, very good there. So that's the final progression. Now we're just gonna get those hip flexors firing, and then we wanna hold at the top, get that isometric contraction. So there you guys have it. We have the wall drill and all of its progressions from individual to three-step to continuous. This is a great drill to execute with your team when you need them to run better. Execute it, see the results. Boost man.
Inland Sports. The big news, at least for the 49ers, was they finally traded Trey Lance to the Dallas Cowboys. So now it's going to be Brock Purdy, QB1, Sam Darnold, former USC guy, QB2. All right, finally, Patrick, shout out to Team USA from El Segundo winning the Little League World Series. A walk-off, actually, against Curacao yesterday, 6-5. And remember, these guys had to come out to San Bernardino, to the IE, to win the West, to punch their ticket to the Little League World Series. So they were playing right here in our own backyard before they went on to win the whole thing. World champions. Inland Sports.
Welcome everyone to the Inland Sports Show. Before we start the show, make sure you like this video and you've subscribed to the Inland Sports Show YouTube channel. And if you're a local business or organization and you'd like to promote yourself on this show, just send us an email, inlandsportsshow@gmail.com. The show starts right now. Garcia's left footage. And what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Inland Sports Show, live and amplified here at Teen Vision TV 16 with our director, Johnny Nunez. Great to be back in the studio, and we've got some great high school football stuff coming your way a little bit later. We're going to break down some of the big matchups coming up in week number 2. We got some highlights. We got some interviews. We're going to hear live from Rancho Verde head coach Eric Zomalt as well. The Mustangs off to a 2-0 start. Big game on the road at La Quinta coming up. But we're going to start the show off with some girls flag football. Yes, we've been talking about it actually quite a bit from the summer into the season right here on the Inland Sports Show. We've had a couple coaches on from the Big VIII League, and here comes another one. Really excited about this. Jennifer Constuble, the head coach of the Roosevelt Mustangs girls flag football team. Coach, first off, thanks for joining the show. And we were talking a little bit off air that, you know, you've been around the game of high school football in the IE for a long time, you were saying.
Yeah, I kind of started back in 2003, right? I started with the NFL flag in our local community and built it up that way. Just seeing the growth from that to this point where we're at now is just phenomenal, right? You see, just kids run around playing it recreationally, and, one or two little girls may come and join every once in a while to see how big it's gotten. To be an actual CIF sport just dedicated to girls is just an amazing thing.
Well, Coach, girls flag football, it will be officially a CIF Southern Section championship sport next season. But this year, the Big VIII League, the Corona Norco Unified School District, playing basically a full slate of games. I think it's Monday nights, I want to say, for the Big VIII League for those schools.
Right.
When you launched the program, what was the response? I've talked to a couple other coaches, and it sounds like there's a lot of girls coming out. They're excited about flag football. What was the response at Roosevelt?
Overwhelming, right? So our very first parent meeting brought in 82 athletes right out the gates. I knew we were going to get a big turnout. I knew there's a lot of girls in the community who just have that love of the game and want an opportunity to play. I wasn't expecting that amount of girls to come out. Right now, on my roster right now, we ended up keeping 56 of them. It's just there's so much talent out there, and a lot of them being seniors. This is their one and done opportunity to be a part of something big, be a part of that legacy that created at not only their school but within their community. And there was no way I was going to not let them be part of that.
So, Coach, are you picking athletes from different sports? Do you have any girls who, I don't know, have been around the game of football maybe a little bit, so they understand maybe some of the rules and stuff like that? But how are you finding the athletes?
Yeah, you know what? We're really lucky over at Roosevelt. We have a lot of girls who come from a lot of athletic backgrounds. We have softball, we have track, we have soccer players, we have a ton of wrestlers. We have a handful of girls who've never picked up a football, never played any sport before, but they just know they love the game. They grew up with their dads and their brothers and their cousins. They grew up on the Pop Warner fields. They, watched the old highlight videos of dads when the women down and just knew they wanted to be a part of that someday. And, now you see the dads in the stands who are so proud to see their daughters out on the field some of them wearing their dad's numbers, which is kind of special for them too.
Well, Coach, again, you guys play on Monday nights, and I know this week you had a big game against Santiago, and you were telling me did not go the way of the Mustangs in this one.
It's a loss is always rough, right? You never want a loss on your record, but it was a hard fought game. We kind of just did it to ourselves. Santiago's got a great squad. They're very fast, very athletic. We had to make some adjustments. It's another day, another time. We'll see them in the playoffs.
Well, Coach, I'll tell you this. I've talked to some local coaches, and I won't say who, I won't drop any names, but I heard from more than one when we talked about girls flag football in those Corona Norco Unified Schools, the Big VIII League. They were saying, you know what, I think Roosevelt's got the best team. They got a great coach. They got a lot of great athletes. So at least the other people are thinking the Mustangs have a good squad. Do you feel like maybe down the road, I don't know if there's some sort of a playoff to decide the league champion, but maybe you'll see the Sharks again down the road with a title on the line?
Yeah, we definitely will. So as of right now, there is no CF playoffs, right? Because you need to be at 20% before we get to that point, which I guarantee will be next year. But what we're looking for right now is doing a league playoff situation. So we'll have like a round robin tournament kind of thing. Just at least the girls are playing for something and hopefully shooting for that league title.
Now, listen, I know the high school student athletes, they love to hear their name on the show. So why don't you just name drop? I know you can't list everybody on your team because you had such a great turnout. You've got a lot of players, which is a great problem to have. But who are some of the standouts for Roosevelt this season?
We're going to go with Pajuan. She's one of our defensive players. She had a wonderful yesterday's game. Sevis is only a sophomore. She's already racking in. I think she's on her 6th touchdown out of 2 games. We have a great quarterback. Brianna's our great quarterback. She really knows how to work that pocket really well. So we and McGowan's a great blitzer. So we have that rush every time. We never let up. So I can name 56 girls, and each one of them has a great quality about them, and they bring something special to the team, each and every one of them.
You know, Coach, when you're just starting a program and maybe some of these girls are being introduced to the sport for the first time, it sounds like you've got some who maybe had siblings or a dad who played so they're familiar with it. But maybe if they're brand new, but they're athletic and they just want to try it out, how do you maybe keep it simple, teach the basics? Like, what was the first couple of weeks like just getting the program off the ground and making sure your team was ready for that first game of the year?
Yeah, I'm kind of the tough one out of my coaching crew, right? The head coach has got to be the one that sticks to the gun. So there's hell week for most sports. We had hell month, 5 days a week, 2-3 hours on the field, and it was fundamentals at its finest, right? You find those soccer players who really know how to maneuver their hips and get around. Guess what? You're a running back now. We have some outfielders who have some really good pop-up directional views. Guess what? You're playing safety now. So it was really just seeing who's played what they bring to the team, and how we can adapt that and build around it to a football program.
Being the first season, do you feel the buzz around campus growing? Do you feel like, even though this year had a great turnout with girls coming out for the team, do you think next year is going to be even bigger, and hopefully, like you said, it'll be a CIF championship sport?
Yeah, I'm really hoping next year we'll be able to really field a Frosh-Loff and a JV team as well as the varsity team. I hate turning away girls that I know who can easily, jump in the field and field position. But even, once school started, I get a lot of freshmen coming in. Oh my God, we have a flag football team. How do I join? And the answer is, I'll see you in the spring. Once you already get going, you kind of get stuff moving around. It's hard to start adding to what we're at a great space. So it's just, these girls are creating a legacy. They're building a name for themselves. They listen, they do what they're told, and you can't ask for anything more than that.
Okay, finally, Coach, I've seen enough girls soccer, girls water polo. I know girls can get intense and, and physical in some of these games. I know it's flag football, but I would assume these games get intense, especially when you're taking on a rival, let's say like Santiago or Norco or Centennial, someone like that.
Yeah, you know what? There's little bumps and bruises along the way. We just have to notify. We'll actually be going to soft shell helmets in the next couple of weeks, just to alleviate any more chance of injury. I'm kind of surprised we didn't start off with them, but again, even with CIF, the whole rule regulation kind of living document, and they're adapting and changing as we go. They're still figuring it out along the ways. So, you get some calls, you're like, oh no, that's flag guarding, or you can't shadow block, or watch the hands. But, girls just naturally, in my opinion, are a little more aggressive than boys in some sports. And I'm proud to say that we've taught these girls how to maneuver around a few things. We got some running backs who got some fancy hips, and you get out of that little blocking zone area there. But they're very definitely very motivated to put some pads on one day.
Well, Coach, I've got 2 daughters of my own, and I can definitely say girls are very aggressive, and I'm sure those games are very competitive out there. Coach Constable, listen, I really appreciate the time. Best of luck the rest of the season. Hopefully you guys will be playing for a league title when it's all said and done.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go.
All right, that's Jennifer Constable, the head girls flag football coach for the Roosevelt Mustangs here on the Inland Sports Show. Thanks so much, Coach. We really appreciate the time. All right, we come back here on the show. We're going to check in with Rancho Verde head football coach Eric Zomalt. The Mustangs off to a 2-0 start, trying to go to 3-0 as they go on the road to La Quinta this week. We'll be back on the Inland Sports Show. And this segment of the Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Kin Sporting Goods in Norco, #1 in the Inland Empire for team uniforms, sports equipment, and Letterman's jackets. Boost Performance Training in Corona. Athletes of all levels and all sports train at Boost. And also ask about the Bass Private School. Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Personalized treatment you deserve from an orthodontist you can trust. Chick-fil-A in Rialto, right off the 210 freeway at Ayala Drive. Eat more chicken.
What up, y'all? Boostman here with a quick 2 cent. Student athletes, during competition, things will always happen that's out of your control. That's why the best athletes are the ones with short memories. Whether it's a bad call by the ref, a questionable play by your coach, or a missed opportunity, whining about it will never solve anything. The ability to move on to the next play after something doesn't go your way is a skill that all great competitors share. So many times it's not just about what you do during competition, it's about how you respond. Boostman.
The Inland Sports Show is proud to partner with Dr. Marcus Paulson and Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Dr. Paulson and his team work with children, teens, and adults using orthodontic products like traditional braces and Invisalign to make a difference in the appearance, comfort, and function of each patient's teeth. Paulson Orthodontics welcomes new patients, so schedule a visit today. Paulson Orthodontics. We make braces fun.
And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show, everybody. A big thanks to Jennifer Constuble, the head girls flag football coach at Roosevelt. Now we're going back to the helmets and pads as we get ready for week 2 of the high school football season. One of our local teams off to an undefeated start. The Rancho Verde. The Mustangs are 2-0 going on the road to La Quinta this week. And we got head coach Eric Zomalt joining us here on the show. You know, Coach, I looked at, last season, your first year as head coach with the Mustangs, and you played Palm Desert. You played some of the same schools and different results this year around. How much has the program grown from last year, year number 1 on the job at Rancho Verde to year number 2?
We've made some real progress. And so just like you mentioned, just the difference between, and it's not, it's not like the exact same team from a year ago in Palm Desert, and they have a new coach, and so they're in a little different situation. But just from overall, I feel like our understanding, our kids' understanding of like what I want and what I require and what our coaches require has gotten better. And so that's really the biggest difference. The kids are obviously a little bit stronger, but everybody gets stronger in the off season. So I think just really the appreciation of what we will, what we require is more kind of entrenched and ingrained in our everyday process.
Well, Coach, I think it's going to cool down a little bit by Friday, or actually Thursday, and when you guys play La Quinta.
Did you think about, when you schedule those early season games, like playing some of those Coachella Valley schools, like, going out there? Because, who knows? It might be, I don't know, 90 or 95 here, but it could be, well over 100 degrees when you play out in the desert early on in the season.
No, for sure. That's a part of it. You take that into consideration. You try to use that as an incentive to practice harder and condition better. And the reality is, a year ago when we went to Palm Desert, I stressed about the heat. And we got off because we're on the turf, and they're on grass. It really, it's not as bad as you think. Like 98 degrees on their grass is different than 98 degrees on our turf. And so I told the kids the heat played no part in us getting beat by 2 touchdowns a year ago in Palm Desert. So same thing applies when we go out to La Quinta. It'll be hot, but it's hot out here. I sprinted down to the practice field right now. And, I got my sweat towel right here, so I would be drenched on this interview. But it's these last couple of days have been serious. But that's just a part of playing a fall sport. Like, you have to work throughout the summer, and July is pretty tough, and it'll really test your resolve and your real commitment to, if you want to play the sport. And the kids that hung in there, that they really sincerely want to be a part of the team.
Well, Coach, I got a buddy at work, and his son is in the basketball program at Rancho Verde High School, and he actually saw me today and said, "Hey, man, Rancho Verde football is back, huh?" And I'm like, "Hey, they're 2-0, man. I knew Coach Zomalt was going to bring a winner there." But do you still feel like, man, it's nice to be 2-0. We've got some good things going, but do you feel like, man, there's so much room still to grow? Like, you guys, your expectations for the program, where you would like to see it. There's still a long ways to go.
For sure. I don't know if there's a coach out there who would feel like they're where they want to be. I hope there's not a coach out there that feels like they're where they would want to be, when they were in the games. The Palm Desert game was actually a 1-point game, in the second half. It was 14-13. They scored on defense and things tightened up for us. But I thought it was a real opportunity for us to see if we've grown since, this time a year ago. It took us a while to really build the kind of, a mental toughness and resilience to kind of work through those moments. And it really started to come to fruition. Once we got to the playoffs, we were able to withstand, being in a kind of a tight contest. And so early on last year, we played in the second, I think it was game 2 last year, we played a really good Citrus Valley, well coached. Bruick he's one of the best coaches in the IE, and his kids are always on point. And you can see, they compete at a high level. And we were in a very competitive game late in the second quarter, and then they got a stop, went down and scored before the half, and everything just unraveled. And it ended up, hanging 50 on us. And so it's just one of those situations that I think was a kind of an indicator of, at least from that perspective, our kind of mental toughness, our resilience. We were ready to respond in a real way. And it helps having Dylan Riley on your team.
Well, speaking of Dylan Riley, Coach, I think back to those Citrus Hill teams that were some of those teams were dominant on the run. You'd run pretty much every play of a game if you could.
Not pretty much, Pep. We ran every play.
Well, I was thinking of the CIF championship game with Heritage. So with a guy like Dylan Riley, not to give away all your secrets and what you're drawing up for La Quinta or whatever, but would it not be a shock to football fans to see Rancho Verde kind of lean into the run a little bit more, and maybe just kind of punch at the other defense in the mouth with the run game?
I think that, and I think that would be, maybe where it's some people might kind of go in that direction, and that wouldn't be that's not a bad idea to give Dylan Riley the ball every time. But in our situation, he's surrounded by so many explosive, athletic football players. AJ Boone, and he had an 80-yard touchdown early in the season. Jarius Midget, our slot, he's a returning starter for us. Marion Orange, we have real explosive players. And so I think that would be a little maybe kind of short-sighted on our part and safe. It'd probably be the safest thing to do. But I think, and that was kind of a lesson that I learned in hindsight was that, our approach at Citrus, it raised the floor. We knew, we would never get blown out. But it was there were times we were in a lot of close games because the ceiling was a lot lower. And so I don't want to kind of handcuff our offense, because we do have the potential to really light it up. Like, we have some super dynamic, skilled kids. And so we just have to get everybody on the same page. Like, we had a lot of self-inflicted stuff in week 0. And we left a ton of points on the board. But, when things got tight, we did what probably, is not a bad idea. We gave it to Dylan and he took the game over. But I think our absolute, the best version of our offense, has some balance to it.
You had some balance at Citrus Hill. You had some great quarterbacks and receivers at Citrus Hill as well back in the day.
It was just when we made the switch, but, in the end, our balance was either going left or right, giving it to the running back, So we have to, when we had Trevor Hodge and KJ Young, all those guys were our offense. We had kids who were 3,000-yard, Brett Hollingsworth, 3,000-yard passers early on. And so I just kind of overreacted, when things weren't as easy throwing the ball. And I really felt like in hindsight, I know that I, that was an overreaction and overcorrection. And we won a lot of games, but I felt like, we had the potential to be even better had we, had I been a little more patient and allow things the passing game to develop. So that's the approach now.
Well, Coach, you mentioned some of your stud skill guys, Riley, Orange, Boone. For those guys and just all the guys who are returning players from last year's team that was in the hunt for an Ivy League championship down to the final week. You make a CIF run, semifinals. For those guys to go through that and play in meaningful games and get to the playoffs, how much better do you think the team is this year for just having that experience last year?
I think it's everything. There's a saying, like, experience is like a cruel teacher. Like, it gives you the test and then it gives you the lesson. And so those kids, they've gone through some tough moments, and you could really see the progression from the first time we played Elsinore, and it literally came down to the last play. They were going down to score, and the great Johnny Zomalt made a play to break up a pass, and we won the game. And then 3 or 4 weeks later, when we see them in I think the second round of the playoffs, it was a pretty decisive victory. And so that was the part that I was most proud of. One, our kids not giving up because it was bleak. Like, we were 2 plays away from being 1-9 last year. Temescal Canyon and Elsinore came down to the last play. So it was tough, and those kids hung in there. They found a way to qualify for the postseason. And then we just played, like, better football, in the playoffs and continue to get better. And those kids have just carried that throughout the off season, and they are excited and ready to go for sure.
Well, Coach, I always appreciate our chats. Congrats on the 2-0 start. Looking to go to 3-0 Thursday night against La Quinta on the road. And hopefully we can do it again down the road when you guys are, maybe again competing for a league championship.
For sure. No, Pep, like I always say, man, we appreciate what you do. I know those people outside the area give you a hard time, man, because they see the kind of love that you give, for these kids in our area, but it is what it is. We got Pep and you don't. So thank you for everything.
Hey, Coach, I always appreciate you being in my corner, man. Best of luck on Thursday night against the Blackhawks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You got it. That is Eric Zomalt, the head football coach for the Rancho Verde High School here on the Inland Sports Show. Thanks so much, Coach. All right, before we wrap up this segment, we do want to take a look at our weekly football rankings. We do this each and every week throughout the regular season and a couple weeks into the playoffs as well. It's our Boost Top 25 poll, and yes, you will find the Rancho Verde in there. Let's take a look at the rankings after week number 1 of the season. And Centennial still on top. They are the top dog. But there's Cajonin at number 2. The Cowboys are 2-0 after a big win against Orange Vista. That was one of the premier games that we had in week 1 of the season. And then after that, a couple of Southwestern League schools, or I should say the Big West Conference, right? Marietta Valley, Chaparral, Vista Marietta. The Broncos 2-0 under Coley Candale. Roosevelt, Orange Vista, Citrus Valley, Aquinas, and Liberty round out the top 10. On the other side, the top, I'd say the next 5 or so, up to 15. Pretty solid. Yucaipa, Beaumont, Rancho Verde, Norte Vista, San Jacinto hanging tough. Tough loss against Culver City this past week. But from 15 to 25, it starts getting a little messy because there's a lot of teams who I think are about even, despite what the records might say. Depends on who you play early on in your season. Some tough non-league opponents there. But there is the Boost Top 25 poll after week 1. So here we go into week number 2, and we'll find out who's going to make a climb up the standings this week, our weekly rankings. All right, when we come back here on the Inland Sports Show, we got our weekly All-Stars, we got our Big Boost Play of the Week, and we'll look at the matchups, some of the premier matchups coming up in week number 2. We'll be right back on your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show.
Hey guys, this is Jason at Ken Sporting Goods. We're almost to 1,000 Instagram followers. Tell your friends, like us, come down and see us. Thank you so much for your loyalty.
Well, we are back. We're here at the Boost Performance Center with the one and only, you know this guy, it's the Boost Man, Coach Ray Bass, with another gridiron question. And Coach Bass, this week, we want to know, is there a game plan? Is there a blueprint out there for parents so they can have guaranteed success for their kids? Does that exist?
Unfortunately, no. And I think I've mentioned that before. There is no game plan. There is no blueprint that guarantees success. But my 2 pieces of advice for parents who are looking to get the most out of their kids' athletic development is A, let your kids be kids. The last thing you want to do is to burn your kid out by the constant pressure of performance. B, I'd say and this is hard, you want to put your kids in positions where they have to face failure or adversity. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but the amount of growth that happens when your back is against the wall is immeasurable. And that growth is going to happen no matter the outcome. So my 2 keys here for parents looking to get the most out of their kids' athletic development is let the kids be kids, obviously, and then B, put them in positions to face adversity and face failure.
Well, parents, I hope you're listening out there. This is some good stuff right here from the Boost Man, Coach Ray Bass. If you've got a question for a future Gridiron segment, make sure you hit us up in our DMs all over Boost Training on social media. For the Boost Man, Ray Bass, I'm Pep Fernandez. We'll see you next time. And this segment of the Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Ken Sporting Goods in Norco, #1 in the Inland Empire for team uniforms, sports equipment, and Letterman's jackets. Boost Performance Training in Corona. Athletes of all levels and all sports train at Boost. And also ask about the Bass Private School. Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Personalized treatment you deserve from an orthodontist you can trust. Chick-fil-A in Rialto, right off the 210 freeway at Ayala Drive. Eat more chicken. And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show, live and amplified here at Teen Vision TV 16. My name is Pep Fernandez. Our director, Johnny Nunez, behind the scenes here. Great to be back in the studio. Right now, as we go into week 2 of the high school football season, before we actually go all in, let's take a look at week number 1. We got our week 1 All-Stars. We will do this every single week throughout the high school football season. Let's take a look at week 1. Malachi Brown, the running back for the Jacks, San Jacinto. 285 on the ground on 31 carries, 5 touchdowns in that tough shootout loss against Culver City. Zion Crawford, safety for San Gorgonio, 29 tackles. Goodness. Tajon Henderson for Norte Vista, 204 on the ground, 2 touchdowns, 100 more yards receiving, and another touchdown. Novi blew out Shadow Hills. Ryan Arredondo from Paris. The Panthers are back. 5 passing touchdowns, another one on the ground, 6 total for Ryan Arredondo and Temescal Canyon QB Louis Alvis. How about Louis? 5 touchdowns and a big win against Hilltop, and 113 yards passing, 75 rushing, again 5 touchdowns, and all those, everybody, the Inland Sports Week 1 All-Stars. All right, now we move on to the Big Boost Play of the Week, a segment we will do throughout the high school football season. And let's take you out to Eisenhower. Ike, respect the Ike mob, guys. Eisenhower back to punt, 4th and 18. No, this was not a trick play, but the ball ends up in the hands of the real deal, Shaquille James. And check out the return by James. The dude won't go down. Shaquille James with the touchdown run on the botched play. Look, this was the Eagles back to punt, but it goes to James, and he takes it on the house call. Eisenhower 2-0 to start the season, including a big 50-14 victory against Palmdale, the real deal, providing the Big Boost Play of the Week. Man, what a run. That was unbelievable. That was a lot of fun. All right. So that was the Big Boost Play of the Week. Now let's take a look at Week 2, some of the big-time matchups. We'll start with the Kin Sporting Goods must-see game. Johnny, let's take a look at that one. We got Paloma Valley taking on the Kaiser Cats. Juan Merida, first-year head coach at Paloma Valley, but he's a Wildcat guy through and through, right? He's got the Wildcats at 2-0 to start the season, but he's taking on a hungry Kaiser Cat squad. Kaiser coming up a little bit short against Ramona in the previous week. So the Cats, they feel like they've got something to prove this week against 2-0 Paloma Valley. It's our Kin Sporting Goods must-see game. But we got a bunch of big games coming up in Week 2. We can't highlight all of them in the Inland Sports Show coverage area, but let's take a look at some of the big games. Here's some of the big games coming up in Week 2, Thursday and or Friday night. We've got Chaparral taking on the Jack. That's going to be a fun one. The Jack trying to get their first win of the season. Chaparral coming off an impressive win, any way you slice it, against Apple Valley last week. Elsinore and 2-0 Vista Del Lago. This could be a real slobber knocker between the Ravens and the Tigers. King versus Ramona. That's a Riverside rivalry game. Vista Murrieta 2-0 under Coley Candell taking on Orange Vista. The Coyotes trying to bounce back after that tough loss on the road at Cajon. We got Summit going up against 2-0 Beaumont. The Cougars scoring a lot of points right now with that stud quarterback Chris Cooper. We got Hemet taking on Liberty. The Bison are 2-0 to start the season. And how about this one? This is actually a sneaky good matchup, off to a great start. West Valley and Rancho Christian, they will go head-to-head in week number 2. So those are some of the top games coming at you this Thursday and Friday. And we'll have a bunch of highlights, all the scores Friday night on the Riverside TV Friday Night Pep Rally. I hope you will join us Friday night at 11 o'clock. And the Teen Vision TV 16 game this week, Vista Murrieta and Orange Vista. Johnny, I'm telling you right now, man, that is going to get crazy views. I think you're going to get a lot of people tuning in to watch that game. Two of the top teams in the IE going head-to-head. For Johnny Nunez, behind the scenes here at Teen Vision TV 16, my name is Pep Fernandez. Thank you so much for tuning in. We always appreciate it. God bless you. Stay safe out there. We'll see you next time on your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show.